as a nutrition consultant. So the one thing I do want to spend some time on is the energy systems, because nutrition is a huge part of how we replace that energy, what we have to even fuel that energy. So I remember this going all the way back to like my very first physiology class, learning about the three energy systems. There is the anaerobic, or it's also called the phosphagen energy system, because of ATP. And so that is what your body uses to fuel short bursts of exercise. So when you think of anaerobic, you should immediately think of like weight training, right? But it really is anything that takes maximum effort, and then your body runs out of that fuel source, which is ATP. So there's a reason why the 100-meter sprint is the longest true sprint in track and field, because you can't really go that much further. About 10 seconds is all you have.
You die.
Yeah.
It sucks.
What happens next? So you run out of ATP. Let's say that you're even doing a set of weight training, something like that, curls, and you run out of ATP. You can now no longer do that movement. The muscle, the motor units can't contract any further because there's not enough ATP. But if you reduce the force needed, so you're kind of like doing a drop set, let's say I can extend that activity for another 60 seconds or so. Well, what's happening? I'm using that ATP, but it's a light enough load that I can recycle the ATP, and so I can continue going. And now you're using glycogen. You're starting to fuel that ATP by recycling glucose into the Krebs cycle, and that's what's called the lactic acid. That's kind of an old term. I like glycolytic better. There's even another change where they're kind of dividing the three energy systems into two, and I like that even more. But the glycolytic energy system is something where you can perform an activity for a minute or two, so it still takes a lot of muscular force, but at least you're regenerating that ATP, and you're starting to use glucose regeneratively, and even some oxygen.
And that's after a certain point of almost failure, and then you regenerate?
Yeah, so think of it like, I started with the example of a sprinter. Think of somebody now running a quarter-mile sprint, which is, world record holders could do that in about 40 to 45 seconds. You could also run a half a mile in about 2 minutes. And then all of a sudden now the full mile time kind of extends to 5 minutes and then out. And you gradually see the lessening times, because now you have to use oxygen, and you fuel that even by fats. So now you're starting to use fat as an energy source, which is not very efficient. So you don't have that immediate thrust of energy that you get from the ATP. So here's why this is important from a nutrition standpoint. Some people are going to be coming to you who just want great physique transformation, and that will hopefully include an increasing level of fitness, and you might be a part of that. You might be a personal trainer who is now adding this nutrition component into your career, or you might be a nutrition consultant exclusively and you kind of sub out the training. But I think this is still great information to understand, and I would spend some time looking at this, especially not just because it's on the exam, which it is, but I think it's really important to understand how your body handles stress and the nutritional fuel sources that it needs to recover.
Fitness is one of the things that people think of initially to lose weight, and not as much as nutrition. But really, a lot of people just don't move that much. Nowadays, we just kind of sit in a box all day long, every day. We, as you described it once in a video a long time ago, we're right here, we're sitting in a box, and then we're going to go to another room to sit in another box, and then we're going to drive in a box to go to another place, to sit down in another place. Like, we don't move as much. Yeah. We just sit.
And that brings up a great point. One of the things I've been doing more lately than ever is asking people to even do multiple workouts a day. Not full workouts, but for a long time, I really wanted my clients to feel like fitness was something that was very easy to fit into their lives. So I would say, let's just have one workout a day. back in the old days, we used to split it up where you do an hour of cardio in the morning, training later, and all of that. And I got in the habit of just wanting it to be simpler for people. There's still something to be said for that, but because of your point of being more sedentary than ever, I have found that for my own life especially, and for the clients that have been willing to do this, if you can have somebody do something aggressive and intentional twice a day, I think it helps the entire day. They don't just burn body fat faster, which they do. But here's how this works in my life. Um, I love training in the afternoon. I don't like morning training. I just don't. Yeah, I hate it. Right? Some people like it, but I also equally dislike just feeling lethargic and groggy in the morning. So what I've gotten accustomed to now is I wake up in the morning, I drive to work, and I'll spend 15 or 20 minutes on a bike. And it's not super aggressive. It's pretty low key, but I kind of amp up the intensity as I go, so I'm at least breaking a sweat near the end. And it's not an amazing workout. It's just 20 minutes to get me going. But then about midday, I will do just a complete crushing cardio as a warm-up, and then do a workout, a short workout. I'd like to train, 5 or 6 days a week, and so I'm breaking up smaller body parts. I can get a weight training workout done in about 30 to 40 minutes if I do it that way. And having those 2 intentional training times a day has really helped me just feel better both parts of the day. And I've asked a couple of my general population clients to start doing that when it's feasible. If they have the equipment, they can do something at home and then in the gym later, and they really love it.
It kind of sets the tone for your day too. It feels like you're more in control of the day. I found myself personally, when I work out, maybe midday or earlier in the day, not too early in the day, because I just don't like it. But if I feel like I'm in control of my workout, I know the rest of the day is going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
If I feel like I'm out of control and miss my workout, I feel like the whole day is chaotic.
100%.
For me, my health and eating and also my workouts just kind of correlate to the day. Mm-hmm. And whenever I don't work out, I have sometimes a bad day. Mm-hmm. So it just feels off.
Very important point for you guys. We've mentioned along the way how you assume the role almost as a counselor of sorts, a life coach, and these are things that seem pretty innocuous, but for you to tell your clients something as simple as that, hey, you realize if you are putting yourself last, if you're not getting that training in, physiologically you're just going to suffer. You're not getting that oxygenation and all that. You're missing a chance to lose a little bit more body fat, but you're also going to feel like you're just failing a little bit. You're not doing what you could be doing.
Yep, absolutely.
So seriously, taking that time for you guys as coaches to dig into your clients' lives, and just give them those real life enhancing nuggets of information could be very helpful.
Yeah, just encouraging them to put themselves first. It sounds selfish, but it really does help, because you'll have mothers, you'll have fathers, you'll have busy people, corporate workers that just don't have a lot of time, and they think they can't make time because they're putting so much priority and effort into other people instead of themselves. So if they just give themselves 30 minutes to 60 minutes a day, they're going to be extremely happy.
And that actually probably bleeds into other parts of their life where they
exactly.
carry that success into something they may not have.
Exactly.
So let's wrap up this portion about the energy systems by bringing it back to nutrition, which is maybe pre-workout and post-workout meals in all the different contexts. So I choose, like I said, to do something in the morning that's not performance based. So I end up doing a light cardio fasted, and there's a lot of controversy. I know it's very in vogue. Unfortunately, I kind of started this about 10
fasted
years ago.
and non-fasted.
Yeah, so it may have been even longer. 12 or 15 years ago, I wrote this article because I personally felt better. I was actually working on a 6 minute mile. And so in the morning, I owned a gym. I could go in the gym early and do cardio. And since it was very performance based, if I went in and fasted, I couldn't perform. as soon as I started having a little bit of carbs, I noticed that I was sweating sooner. I got warmed up. I could just crush through so much more. So I started researching a little bit. And again, just going to biochemistry and nutrition textbooks and physiology textbooks, I really looked at how the body liberates fat from adipose cells, and then you've got the whole cycling of it recouping. So let's say right now we just jumped up and ran across the building. You would immediately flush out like epinephrine in your brain, or your brain signals epinephrine through your kidneys, adrenal glands, to flood your body, and you start releasing glycogen from your liver because your body's in fight or flight almost, and that's what cardio or any activity does. You even start liberating fat from fat cells, and if you don't use it all, you simply resynthesize it. And we know that cardio, if you're depleted in the morning, which you are, your blood sugar is lower, you've been using liver glycogen all night long while you're sleeping, so you will use a higher percent of fat as energy. But as I found with my own training, a higher percent of fat is nothing compared to having just way more calories crushing performance, even if it cost me a little bit of carbs to fuel that. It primes the pump. So I remember writing some articles about this, and then it became very in vogue for people to trash fasted cardio, and now there are still like fights about this.
Yeah.
And it all comes back to that one article I wrote. And the thing is, it's still okay. It's still okay to do fasted cardio. You just can't expect your best performance, and you certainly don't need to rely on it. That's the conflict right now. Is some people think that that's the only way or the best way. It's still fine. It's just different.
So you have to decide: would you rather have a better performance cardio session, still get excellent results, or would you rather feel like garbage and just feel like you're burning more fat? Where in reality, I'd rather feel like I'm more successful and still get the results. Yeah, you might not burn as much fat, but who knows? What about retaining muscle? Is there a lot correlate with that?
Absolutely. If you do, first of all, if you just go in there and put 20 minutes on a bike, you're not going to be burning muscle. But if I tried to go through an entire aggressive workout, fasted, you're definitely going to chew through amino acids, because that carbohydrate, that glycogen that was the buffer, is now gone, and so you're burning a higher percent of body fat, but you're also trickling in amino acids on the back end. So here's what's interesting. I'll take my story one chapter further, in that I have gotten in the habit. I'm trying to be healthier. So instead of doing just like sugar-free Monster, Rock Stars, things like that, I started getting into my daughter's little V8 juice cans. What are you laughing about?
Stealing your daughter's V8 juice cans.
I'm stealing her from her lunch. But they are, it's not V8 like tomato juice kind of stuff. Like they actually have energy ones that are like.
I heard they're pretty good.
They're really good.
Yeah.
So here's what's funny: 13 grams of carbs in liquid form. Now I just wake up, I'm drinking that instead of the sugar-free Monster. I'm having amazing cardios again. Like, I go in the morning, in that 20 minutes, it was just kind of drudgery. Now it's like, and I'm sweating, and I'm like, just from, I was drinking caffeine and not getting that much out of it. Now I'm drinking 13 grams of carbs, from fruits and vegetables, and it's fueled by workout.